Okay, today we're going to be going over the second round over Game 2 of the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns, and then Game 1 against the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics. Of course, the expectations over Joel Embiid missing over a knee injury for Game 1, over suffering his injuries around the middle of the series against the Brooklyn Nets, and nursing it for a time being, an extended period of time, is a smart move over their sweep against the Brooklyn Nets. But Harden came to play. Tobias Harris came to play. Tyrese Maxey dropped over 24. James Harden with a career high in the playoffs, and he's had a tenured career in the NBA. And 45 points, near double-double, in around over 50% shooting off the field with a game-winning shot over Al Horford's dome, over in the top of the key, over a size-up mismatch. It was just outstanding. And then we got the Suns, and usually the roles are reversed. Even though we had the top scoring offenses in the Eastern Conference, match up against one of the better offenses in the Western Conference, involving the Nuggets against the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul had to leave over in the middle of the second half with a groin injury. That's a detrimental loss offensively. And Bismack Biyombo was not contributive at all, not even producing around double-digit rebounds. He had 4 rebounds. 4 total rebounds. Most of them were defensive. Only accumulated one shot make over the field. And didn't even accumulate 1 block. And he plays over the 5 position. He only had 10 minutes. So it was DeAndre Ayton at the 5 that played over 33 with only 14 points. No blocks. 5 rebounds and 6 assists. That's the same, he had 4 assists. 8 rebounds. And they were trying to go over a mishmash comparison. I don't think it's much of a comparison. That's just how we compare forwards. Like, we know there's certain players that can't produce the same as another player. Like, we know that an MVP candidate can't be compared to just a basic starter like DeAndre Ayton. But DeAndre Ayton has to drop around at least 17 points, 15 points. They need to be a third contributive scorer. And Chris Paul coming over in the game and he missing out and only had 8 points and 6 assists. That's only almost as better as Devin Booker that dropped over 35 points. Kevin Durant with only 24 points. And then barely anybody can at least sneak around double digits except Chris Paul that was sizing up good on defenders. Like KCP, Michael Porter Jr. that was just so good when they're moving around transition. And the Nuggets already outsized most of their defenders. This was cruddy defense. And then it got even worse when Jeff Green came over a pump fake baseline and he's still giving over posters like he's under 30 years old. That's not acceptable. If the Suns get up in the series, because now it's 2-0. It is 2-0 in the series. Michael Porter Jr. only had like a second chance point over a layup, and he only played over 23 minutes. Aaron Gordon was 39 minutes. He dropped over 16 points. Over 83 efficiency, and anytime he was around the basket, he was good over in the post, moved around transition, and he's such an annoyance on defense. When you think he was just a dunker, there's more that Aaron Gordon can do over with his size, and he's really over whatever type of training he's doing over around the offseason. It's obvious that he's gone to more of a contributive player than a guy that you can use over the fast break for a pick-and-roll dunk. So Aaron Gordon is very pivotal over to the offense. But this was just sloppy basketball from the Nuggets, how they won this game. But over to the losses, Terrence Ross, and TJ Warren, like deadline mistakes. Like, I understand the inexperience of Darius Bazley, and they really need size. But Ish Wainwright and Jock Landale that had over, I think, a personal foul. And the worst plus minus had to come from DeAndre Ayton with a minus 21 in this game. It's not acceptable. That's not acceptable production that we're getting over from Cameron Payne that only made over a couple shots, maneuvered no assists, and went 1 for 7 from the field. And Nikola Jokic was just babying Ayton. Under the rim, hooks over to the post. Ayton gets too impatient. Some players overcommit over to the inside, and it gets easy for Aaron Gordon to cut. Michael Porter Jr. to cut. Kicks out over to the corner to shade. Sidestep. KCP gets a great three-pointer. And Jamal Murray, that didn't have the best game over his Game 1 performance where he dropped, I think, over 36. He was 0 for 9 from behind the arc. 10 points. Not acceptable. Whenever he's producing over the mid-range, it's bad when over 5 or 6 people drop double digits than it is for a guy to drop a 30-point game. And the Nuggets exceeded that. It wasn't the best performance, but when it came to everybody contributing, Aaron Gordon shouldn't be dropping over 15 points if the Suns still want to succeed. KCP shouldn't be exceptional from behind the arc. He was 4 for 4 from the field. Outstanding. And then we got Jamal Murray. That was still getting shots done even though he was 3-15, and he didn't make a shot from behind the arc. You still can't make him create his own shots, ladies and gentlemen. And Nikola Jokic was dominant. 39 from the field. It really doesn't bother me, per se, other than over the narrative that Joel Embiid is not going to win shit in the finals, or being over in the playoffs, so screw it, give him his regular season award. It doesn't matter. But why Nikola Jokic is just a lot more pivotal over to the offense, and the Nuggets still succeed even though they have a lot of core pieces. Jamal Murray's like fringe all-star that can become a secondary scorer for the Nuggets, and with him, without Jamal Murray, I feel like the Nuggets would have had still a struggle over in the series. And this was over a double-digit deficit. Jokic is that much of a game changer because the offense he can just revolve around and just make everybody feel like they have a role to make whenever he distributes. It's insane. So this is just blatant. This was just blatant good basketball. They were just a superior team out of the game too. And then the Nuggets just, they got no answer for Nikola Jokic because DeAndre Ayton's an undersized center. He could barely shot block around the second chances attempts, and he was just struggling to even get around under the rim or finish around the baseline without Jokic being there to annoy or defend, or even getting over his hands up, because even though Jokic is not well known as a defender, he can still get his arms out and make sure he can disrupt the flow of Ayton, even getting over the pick and roll, and Kevin Durant just hitting over a spot-up shot. Catch and shoot. That's him. Catch and shoot. Produce and create your own offense. What are you doing just becoming a spot-over player when it's obvious that you can tower around majority of the 4 out of 5? And Aaron Gordon just made you feel like you were just a basic guy in a YMCA just trying to chuck the ball. 16 from behind the arc is insane. 37%, you barely see that lack of efficiency over Kevin Durant. With Chris Paul possibly out for Game 3, there has to be some game planning. Because Josh Okogie is not going to step up. Booker is just going to score. There's barely that much Booker can do that can even reap the benefits over in the referee's case of view, or just him just dropping over the 3 and playmaking. Because that's the only person that performed. Other than Chris Paul, because they matched over an assist and they were decent in ball movement when it came over in the first half. So this was just poor basketball. Torrey Craig just felt like he wasn't there. Bismack Biyombo felt like a non-factor. And I don't know what Wainwright was doing in Cameron Payne. So this was just poor basketball. The Nuggets won Game 2. And it was under 100. 97-87. That feels like an old school score from back in the day. But Nikola Jokic is still giving us reasons why he's an MVP candidate. And while the Suns possibly don't even have a chance to hit the conference finals even though they have Kevin Durant. It's just name value alone with very little depth is not going to be a reason why you guys win the playoffs. And a lot of teams have shown you that this playoff season. Even if it was the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they had lost Giannis Antetokounmpo for like game 2, even though they won game 1 without him. I mean game 2 without him. It's obvious that the Nuggets just barely have that much of a contributing format to still make these close quarter games. Even though this was won under 10 points. Just like the New York Knicks and Miami Heat game. But whenever a team outplays you, there's always a reason why you lost that game. Even though the winning team didn't play well itself. Because you played worse. Tell me how you guys feel. Do you guys think like the Suns can clean this up and come out from 2-0 deficit? Or the Nuggets can just roll this out with the biggest overrated Western Conference team, even though they had a Clippers team without 2 superstars that they had to struggle over 5 games with Westbrook always performing. That's it for me.